After the car crash, I was trapped in my seat, unable to move. I begged my husband, Shin-mo, through tears to get me out. But he said to me, "You owe this to Shiyun. If you hadn't married me, she wouldn't have died." Lin Shiyun was his assistant. On the day Shin-mo and I got married, she drowned herself in the river. Gasoline leaked out and then exploded. I got a second chance, and I was back on my wedding day, just as the officiant announced the exchange of rings. I snatched the ring Shin-mo was about to slip on my finger, ran off the stage, and put it on Lin Shiyun instead. "Shin-mo is yours now. I wish you both a lifetime of happiness together." No one could have anticipated this turn of events. The entire wedding venue fell into a stunned silence. Lin Shiyun was clearly terrified. She pulled her hand back, visibly flustered, her eyes instinctively darting toward Shin-mo on the dais. I gave a wry smile and was just about to say something when I heard Shin-mo's furious voice. "Shiyun, what on earth are you doing?" The words had barely left his mouth before he was already at Lin Shiyun's side. Shin-mo instinctively shielded Lin Shiyun behind him, growling at me in a low voice. "What are you making a scene for? Do you even want to go through with this wedding?" The quiet hall gradually began to fill with hushed whispers. What's gotten into the Shu family's eldest daughter? Wasn't this the marriage alliance she begged for? Exactly, wasn't she Shin-mo's devoted follower before? What's she playing at now? Could she be jealous of Shin-mo's assistant? No way, Shin-mo is famously a workaholic who keeps women at arm's length. That's right, Shin-mo is aloof and distant. I pursued him for 8 years, and he never gave me the time of day, but he showed no interest in other women either. At least not from my perspective. That's why I was so shocked when, after the car accident, he told me it was my marriage that drove Lin Shiyun to suicide. I was stunned to realize they had already shared a relationship that went far beyond ordinary colleagues. Catching the look on my face, he sneered, "I kept it well hidden, didn't I? You're so fixated on me, but you're completely in the dark. I truly had no idea, and neither did anyone else. One is the man I loved, who eventually became my husband. The other is a student from a poor background I once sponsored. To help her out, I recommended her to be the assistant of the man I loved. They came from vastly different backgrounds, and their looks were a mismatch. They kept it hidden so well. I still remember the last thing I asked Shin-mo. That car crash wasn't an accident, was it? Was this your revenge on me?" He said with a frenzied look. "If you hadn't insisted on getting married, how could Shiyun have died?" I closed my eyes for a moment. It was he who had said that the new product he was in charge of needed to expand its market share and required the Shu family's support. The Shin family was already weaker than the Shu family, without any benefit involved. The only way to secure their support was through a marriage alliance. That's why I convinced my parents to let me marry him. How did it end up being my fault? Anyway, what's with the silence? If you don't want to get married, we can just call off the wedding. Shin-mo's angry voice in my ear snapped me back to reality. Perfect. That suits me just fine, I replied. Shin-mo looked stunned for a moment, as if he hadn't expected me to actually agree. His voice dropped low. "Are you making a fool of me? Haven't you shamed your own family enough, that you must drag the Shin family into this?" The guests were bewildered, and elders from both sides stepped forward to mediate, urging them to settle any issues later and proceed with the ceremony first. From behind Shin-mo, Lin Shiyun leaned out slightly and said in a frail voice, "I'm sorry, Miss Shu. I don't know if I've offended you in some way, but please allow me to apologize first." Her expression was one of genuine fear and trepidation, as if she truly had no idea what had happened, yet, her hand subconsciously pressed against the ring I had placed on her finger, with no intention of removing it. Looking at her innocent expression, I smiled. "Look. The woman's ring from this set is perfect for you. It fits like a glove, too." Lin Shiyun's expression changed. It seems she remembered. She had tried on this very pair of rings before. Not only did she try it on, she even posted about it on her secret little red book account. "This ring. I hope one day I can wear it openly, for all to see." But the real story isn't about the ring itself, it's about the setting in the photo. She tried on this matching set of rings in a hotel suite, with Shin-mo. I gave a signal with my hand, and the lights in the venue dimmed. On the large screen, the wedding photo of Shin-mo and me was taken down, replaced by a slideshow of new pictures. The photos showed a man with his arm around a woman, starting from a parking lot and leading into a hotel room. Even from a distance, it was clear that the figures were Shin-mo and Lin Shiyun. The moment he saw the photo, Shin-mo's eyes widened in shock, and he cried out, "What is this? Why are you showing this? Stop it." But no one listened to him. After all, I was the one planning the entire wedding, and the staff only took orders from me. Just as he was about to find someone to stop the slideshow, it had already advanced to the final photo. the last photo froze on the image of Shin Mo and Lin Shiyun locked in a kiss. The murmurs in the venue grew louder and louder. So Shin Mo likes someone so plain, who would have thought? I heard it was Shiyun who got her into Shin Mo's company. Miss Shu probably never expected to get her man stolen by some plain Jane. The scene was getting more chaotic by the minute, with elders from both sides asking what was going on. Lin Shiyun's face turned deathly pale, her hand unconsciously clutching at the hem of Shin Mo's shirt. Shin Mo was furious. You're following me, get someone to turn that screen off. Now, I shot him a look and said, so what if I am? I've got something even juicier, and it's about to play. Hearing this, Lin Shiyun rushed over, fell to her knees before me, and began to sob. Miss Shu, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have let myself fall for Mr. Shen. This is all my fault. I should never have forgotten your kindness. I'll disappear right now. You'll never see me in front of you or Mr. Shen again. As she said this and stood up to leave, I reached out and grabbed her arm. She stumbled and fell to the ground. Her bag fell too, scattering its contents across the floor. Among the clutter lay a prenatal test report. In a moment of desperation, she grabbed a small paper knife from the mess and pressed it to her wrist. I kicked out, sending the knife flying. If you're going to die, don't let it be today, I said with a blank expression. Lin Shiyun lay on the ground, weeping silently. Shin Mo immediately crouched down, trying to help her up, but she simply refused to get off the ground. I walked over and picked up that prenatal test report. Cut the act. You went to see Shin Mo earlier today, didn't you? You asked him to ditch the wedding and run away with you, but he didn't. Not even when you told him you were pregnant. So you want to die, not because you feel guilty towards me, but because Shin Mo chose me, not you. At my words, Shin Mo and Lin Shiyun's faces were a picture, and Lin Shiyun even forgot to keep crying. The people in the venue buzzed with chatter, and some even started pulling out their phones to take pictures. My family was furious and demanded an explanation from the Shin family about what was going on. The Shin family was stretched thin, trying to comfort my parents while also explaining the situation to the guests. I took off the veil and placed it on Lin Shiyun's head. Go ahead and wear it with pride. I don't want him anymore. He's all yours. 3. In my past life, Lin Shiyun vanished after my wedding. It was only after a police investigation that they discovered she had jumped into the river. Although her body was never found, the river's current was so fierce that there was virtually no hope of survival. We all believed she was dead. I had my own doubts about her death, so I asked Shin Mo about it. Shin Mo said he didn't know either. Maybe the pressure at home was just too much. I did know that Lin Shiyun's family was very poor. Her mother is paralyzed, her father is a hopeless gambler, and her younger siblings are still in school. She's the sole breadwinner holding the entire family together. I just never expected Shin Mo to lie to me. Lin Shiyun didn't take her own life because of her family, she did it because of him. Yet, for some inexplicable reason, he blamed the whole thing on me. Not long after my death, Lin Shiyun came back to life. It turned out she hadn't died when she jumped into the river that time. Someone had saved her. She simply changed her name and identity and went abroad. She even gave birth to Shin Mo's child while overseas. In the end, the two reconciled and got back together, their love restored. Watching the two who betrayed me live happily ever after, my spectral form was consumed by peak resentment. Then, in a flash of white light, I was reborn. I was reborn 1 month before the wedding. It's not like I couldn't have just called off the wedding and walked away from them, but I wanted to get my revenge. And I wanted it to hurt, so I hired a private investigator to tail them. I also planted a listening device in the fountain pen I gave to Shin Mo, exposed them to the public eye, then use this as an opportunity to call off the engagement and sabotage the new product Shin Mo is responsible for. After this incident, the marriage alliance between the Shu and Shin families naturally fell through, but Shin Mo didn't seem to see it that way. It was a week later when I finally got his call. He didn't sound happy. Shuyun, why haven't you brought me any food these past few days? I'm craving sweet and sour pork ribs. Yeah, I used to be totally obsessed, learning his favorite recipes, cooking for him, delivering meals to him every single day, but now, what you want to eat is none of my damn business. I hung up the phone. Shin Mo called back immediately. Let's put the food delivery aside for now. When are we going to talk about the arranged marriage? Last time, because of your scene, the wedding was ruined and we have to do it all over again. I let out a bitter laugh. Forget the marriage alliance. Go find Lin Shiyun. She's carrying your child. It would be in poor taste to proceed with our arrangement now. But then, Shin Mo flew into a rage. What are you making a scene about now? It's been a whole week. When will this end? As for Shiyun, I'll make her get rid of the baby. It won't affect our marriage. I still remember. At the end of my past life, The crazed look in his eyes when he mentioned Lin Shiyun. Back then, with the support of the Shu family, he expanded his business and became the helmsman of the Shin family. He probably remembered the virtues of his white moonlight once again, and now, before he had even secured his footing within the Shin family, he sacrificed Lin Shiyun. I sneered coldly, "You really are heartless." Then I hung up the phone. After that, I rejected every single call Shin Mo made. I guess his patience had finally run out. Finally, I received one last message. "Shu Yun, I gave you a chance. Remember this, you're the one who called off the marriage alliance. Don't you dare regret it." 4. With the marriage alliance cancelled, the Shu family's department stores halted sales of the new product line Shin Mo was responsible for overnight. Even other Shin family products were relegated to obscure corners. The previously agreed upon investment has been called off. My best friend was gossiping with me, saying that other investors, seeing the Shin family's situation take a turn for the worse, have also pulled their funding. She also told me that the whole fiasco at my wedding was filmed, the video got posted online, Shin Mo's identity was exposed, and the product he's responsible for got dragged into the mess as well. How dare he be so brazen about two-timing? If the person behind a company has questionable personal ethics, can you really trust the quality of their products? Shu family department store has pulled this product from all their shelves. That's a sure sign something's wrong. People even flooded the product's official social media accounts to vent their anger, and it ended up trending online. The Shin family's plans for an IPO have now been forced to be postponed. Shin Mo's parents came to see my folks, but my parents turned them away at the door. Shin Mo also called me a few times, but I got annoyed and blocked his number. In the end, the Shin family issued a statement. Shin Mo stepped down from his position as company president, and someone else took over. He is also no longer in charge of this particular product for the company. The online backlash has finally died down. A few days later, just as I was about to head out, Lin Shiyun was waiting for me right outside my door. "So what if you didn't marry Shin Mo? What gives your family the right to pull their investment from his business, and to pull his products from the shelves? Do you have any idea how much damage that's doing to him?" I glanced at Lin Shiyun. She hadn't terminated the pregnancy. A slight swell was already visible in her abdomen. "What gives you, you ungrateful wretch, the right to say that to me?" Lin Shiyun lowered her eyes and said, "What happened between him and me? I was wrong. And I'm sorry. You can punish me, but please don't drag Shin Mo into this." I sneered coldly. "You're right. I'll cut off the support for your family." Lin Shiyun was stunned. "My family?" "Yes, I've been covering your mother's medical bills and your brother's tuition and living expenses. It's time to stop." Lin Shiyun's face went pale. She had always known her family was receiving financial aid, but she never knew who the benefactor was. For recipients of aid, the identity of the benefactor is usually kept confidential. It was only because Lin Shiyun's situation seemed so pitiful that the identity was revealed to help her. Who would have thought I'd helped an ungrateful wretch? Lin Shiyun was broke herself. After the fiasco at the wedding, the Shin family found her an embarrassment and cut her off. Her previous savings had long been drained by her mother's medical bills. Rely on Shin Mo. He can barely keep his own head above water. Where would he find the time or resources to support her family? I cut off the financial support for Lin Shiyun's family and made sure they got the message. The funding was withdrawn because Lin Shiyun offended her patron. The timing was particularly cruel. Her brother was at a critical juncture in his education. With the support gone, he underperformed in his exams and ended up dropping out of school altogether. Gossip is never in short supply in this circle. It wasn't long before I heard that Lin Shiyun had a miscarriage, beaten by her own father, but that was none of my concern. I had more important things to deal with. 5. In my past life, I got married right after graduation and became a full-time housewife, devoting myself entirely to Shin Mo and knowing nothing of the world. But now, I'm ready to pick up my studies again, pursue further education, and start learning how to manage the family business. For a while now, I've been working on my application for a business graduate program abroad, busy gathering all the necessary materials. Now, all the materials are ready and the application has been submitted. While waiting for the job offer, I plan to get some practical experience first. After discussing it with my father, I've decided to start at the bottom in one of our family company's factories to learn the production process. The factory is in another city. I declined my father's help and came here on my own. With just a backpack, I rented a place, got settled, and began my internship. One evening not long after, I received a phone call. "Shu Jia, could I ask you for a favor?" The caller was Gu Yen, Shin Mo's cousin. We had rarely been in touch since he went abroad to study, so I had no idea why he was calling me. Are you here to plead his case in silence? I frowned and asked, what's wrong? Perhaps sensing the hostility in my tone, he immediately explained, I'm not here to speak for my cousin. I just arrived in City B, and my friend bailed on me. Could you come pick me up at the high-speed rail station? Shoo shoo, I don't know my way around. He said he had plans to hang out with a friend here, but right after getting off the train, the friend told him something came up at home and couldn't host him. His girlfriend suddenly showed up at his place with her parents. He had to attend to them and just couldn't spare any time for me. There was a hint of hurt in his tone, I remember now. He always used to follow me around when we were young, and he'd use that same tone whenever he felt wronged, but back then, all my attention was on Shinemo, and I had no mind for anyone else, since he was someone I knew, however loosely, and I happened to be free. I went to the high-speed rail station. When I got to the station, just as I was about to make a call, someone tapped me on the shoulder from behind. Shoo shoo, it's been a while. Gu Yan greeted me with a smile. It had been so long. The person before me was tall and well-built, with a sunny, handsome look, nothing like the thin, scrawny boy I remembered. I was taken aback for a moment, but quickly collected myself. Which hotel did you book? I'll give you a ride. I didn't book one. My friend said I could stay at his place, but, he looked at me with a pitiful expression. Well, should I find a hotel for you and take you there? As I said this, I opened my phone to search for nearby hotels. He stopped me. I've already checked. There are no vacancies right now. It made sense. It was a holiday weekend, and City B was a popular tourist destination. It was no surprise you couldn't find a hotel at the last minute. Well, then you. Before I could even ask what to do, I heard Gu Yan say, Shoo shoo jia, can you take me in? He looked at me sheepishly and pleaded. Before I could even voice my refusal, he spoke up again in a pitiful tone. The return tickets are all sold out. Shoo shoo, if you don't take me in, I'll have to sleep at the high-speed rail station. There's no need to be so dramatic about it. Actually, there is a spare room in the apartment I'm renting. Besides, even though my family has fallen out with the Shins, we're still on good terms with the Gus and have business dealings with them. It wouldn't be right to just turn them down flat. Alright then, Gu Yan smiled. Thanks a lot. Shoo shoo. 6. When I brought him home, I was still in a daze. Gu Yan certainly made himself at home. The moment I showed him to the spare room, he just started tidying and cleaning it himself. I snapped out of my thoughts and was just about to go get him a blanket when I saw him pull a sleeping bag out of his suitcase. You brought this on a trip? I asked, surprised. Gu Yan gave a light laugh. When you're staying at someone else's place, you don't want to be too much of a bother. Something felt a bit off, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was. Never mind, then get some good rest, I said to him. Gu Yan replied with a smile. Okay, good night. Shoo shoo. The next morning, when I got up, a prepared breakfast was already waiting on the table. Did you make this? Gu Lin nodded with a smile. I remembered you like pumpkin congee. Shoo shoo. I saw we had the ingredients, so I made some. I hope I didn't disturb you. I shook my head and sat down to eat the congee. It was just how I liked it, sweet. I was suddenly touched that someone other than my parents remembered my preferences. Even after marrying Shinemo in my past life, he never knew what I liked. Whenever I was sick, the only thing he ever brought me was congee with lean pork and preserved egg. That was his favorite. I once mentioned I wanted pumpkin congee. He said okay, but the next time, he still brought the pork and preserved egg one. Shoo shoo. I'm not familiar with City B either. Could you show me around? Gu Yan's voice pulled me back from my memories. I smiled at him. To be honest, I don't know it that well either. On weekends, I'm either at the factory or at home. Gu Yan's eyes lit up. Let's take advantage of the holiday and go out together. I've heard City B has a lot of fun places to explore. You're right. Ever since I came back, I've been wound up tight. It's about time I relaxed a bit. So, Gu Yan and I headed out together. To my surprise, Gu Yan, who claimed not to know City B well, had planned the itinerary perfectly. I actually did my research beforehand, he said with a smile. We visited the landmark attractions in City B, strolled along the famous pedestrian street, and ended up finding a quiet restaurant for dinner. How come I remember this place needing a reservation? I asked casually, flipping through the menu. Gu Yan was still smiling. I happened to have a reservation already. Over the meal, Gu Yan mentioned that the meeting between the two families on his friend's side went smoothly, and his friend's girlfriend's family was planning to stay a few more days, so he said he won't have time for me these next few days. Would it be alright if I stayed with you a bit longer? After saying that, as if worried I wouldn't agree, they quickly added, I'll go back after the long weekend, or I'll see if I can change my ticket. I smiled and said, you don't get to come back home often, so stay and enjoy yourself a few more days. It's no trouble on my end. I stayed the night, and honestly, it wasn't inconvenient at all. No sooner had I spoken than I saw Shinemo emerge from the private room with a few business associates. He spotted Gu Yan and me as well. Shinemo shot me an inscrutable glance, said something to his companions, and then walked over. With a hint of disdain in his eyes, he looked at me and said, "So that's why you made a scene at the wedding and gave me the cold shoulder. You've been cozying up to my cousin." I shot back, "Are you out of your mind? Having a meal together is cozying up now." Shinemo raised an eyebrow. "What else would it be?" I was about to speak when Gu Yan cut me off, saying coolly, "Cousin, it's only called messing around if it's something shady, like you and your assistant. Shushu and I are having a perfectly proper dinner date." Hearing this, Shinemo was visibly angered. "You don't get a say here." Gu Yan then added mockingly, "So, cousin, you're here in City B for business negotiations, right? How come I don't see your assistant wife around?" "Oh, right, I forgot. That assistant wife of yours got fired because all your shady business was too embarrassing to keep around." Shinmo's face darkened with fury. He couldn't hold back any longer and raised a clenched fist. Just as the fist was about to connect with Gu Yan's face, Gu Yan tilted his head to the side and blocked the blow with his forearm. "Go ahead, hit me. I don't mind a trip to the police station, but I doubt your clients would appreciate their business partner having violent tendencies." Gu Yan raised an eyebrow and gestured with his head towards the group of businesspeople chatting nearby, furious but cornered. Shinemo had no choice but to lower his fist. Someone from that group of businesspeople was calling for him. He had to go. Before leaving, he shot me a glance, then lowered his voice and said to Gu Yan, "Stay away from her." 7. That night, Shinemo called from a different phone number. "Shuyun, come back to me. I'll let bygones be bygones." I frowned, still wanting to make things clear to him. "Shinemo, if you had ever shown the slightest sign of being in love with someone else back then, I wouldn't have been so eager to pursue you. You're with Lin Shiyun, and you've even gotten her pregnant. There's no way we can ever be together again." Shinemo fell silent for a long while before speaking. "It's a bit late now, but I still want to explain. I was kidnapped as a child, and she's the one who saved my life. She said she likes me and doesn't even ask for any kind of commitment. I really didn't know how to turn her down. I just found it all rather absurd. Don't know how to say no." "Was it the same with me?" He fell silent. I continued, "So I'm bowing out. That way, you don't have to struggle with it anymore. Just accept Lin Shiyun." "No." Shinemo spoke up immediately this time. "Shiyun, I've thought it over. You are the one who's right for me. As for Shiyun, I'll give her a sum of money and have her leave. I can promise you this. You will be my only wife, and you alone will bear my children. If there's anything else you need." Just as I was about to cut him off, I heard Gu Yan call out loudly from the kitchen, "Shushujia, where's the sesame oil?" "It's on the second shelf of the cabinet next to the fridge." Without bothering to argue with Shinemo, I answered Gu Yan first. There was a stunned silence from Shinemo on the other end of the line. Then, he asked in disbelief, "Gu Yan is at your place?" "Yeah," I replied offhandedly. After what happened at dinner, neither Gu Yan nor I had any appetite left. So Gu Yan suggested we go home and have a late-night snack, which he would prepare. "How dare you have a man in your house at this hour? Have you no shame?" Shinmo's furious voice came through. How did I not realize in my past life that Shinemo was out of his mind? Love must have clouded your judgment. "Shinemo, are you living in the Qing dynasty?" I said flatly. "Besides, whether or not there's a man in my house at night is none of your business." Shinemo paused for a moment before saying, "I'm only saying this for your own good. A man his age, in your house late at night. Do you really think I don't know what's on his mind?" I replied, "Oh, so what? I'm an adult. What I do is my own business." Gu Yan brought over the finished dishes, and I thought I caught the faintest hint of a smile on his face. Upon hearing this, Shinemo said through gritted teeth, "You're on your own now." Then, he hung up the phone. 8. After that, Shinemo never contacted me again. It's also possible that I had blocked this phone number as well. Gu Yan went back after the short holiday, and nothing happened between us. However, I did start talking to him more often. I was applying to schools in Country M, and Gu Yan, who was studying there, was a great person to talk to. Gu Yan said he honed his cooking skills while studying abroad. "When you come over, I'll cook for you. I'm a pretty decent cook, you know." I thought for a moment, then said with a smile, "Well, thank you." Gu Yan smiled as well. "No need to be so polite. I'm really looking forward to cooking for you." Time flew by, and I received an offer from my target university. During that time, I also received a wedding invitation for Shinemo and Lin Shiyun. Shinemo didn't contact me directly. Instead, he mailed the invitation straight to my home. A note was attached to it. "It's all because you let yourself go. That's why I chose Lin Shiyun." Don't come crying to me later, how pathetic. I tossed the invitation straight into the trash. Ever since the scandal with his assistant at the wedding, Shinemo has been blacklisted by all the eligible women in their social circle. Frankly, his options are pretty limited. Rumor has it his family has given up on him too. They're grooming his sister to take over the business instead. He branched out on his own and started a company, and it's been going fairly well. I think that's probably the source of his confidence. But that's none of my business anymore. I have my own things to take care of. As the start of the semester approached, I wrapped up my internship at the factory, returned home, and began packing for my trip to Country M. While packing my things, I came across an old, worn-out talisman. After a moment's thought, I mailed it to Shinemo. What was given to me, I shall return to its giver. I wonder what expression he'll have when he finds out that the one who saved him from the kidnapping all those years ago wasn't Lin Shiyun, but me. 9. When I was little, I wasn't with my parents. After my parents divorced, my mother went abroad, so I went to live with my grandmother in the countryside. There was an abandoned factory in the countryside. One day, I happened to pass by and noticed there was someone in one of the rooms. As I moved closer, I saw it was a boy about my age, along with 2 adults. The boy was tied up. I realized it was probably a kidnapping, so I went back to get help from some grown-ups. However, when we returned to the factory, it was on fire. Smoke was also coming from the room where the little boy was locked in. The adults called the fire department and were busy trying to put out the fire. I, however, went straight to that room. Fortunately, there was no fire inside the room. And the 2 adults were nowhere to be found. The little boy was tied up, crying his eyes out in terror. I climbed straight in through the window, untied the ropes binding him, and helped him climb back out. Through his tears, he said those 2 men were his kidnappers. After they got the ransom money, they set the fire and were going to kill him. He also said his eyes were stinging from the smoke and he couldn't open them. I told him he was safe now, that everything was okay. I handed him over to the adults and got ready to go home for dinner. He suddenly grabbed my arm. What's your name? I answered without a second thought. Shiyun. He nodded, then pressed something into my hand. I'll remember this. I don't have anything of value on me right now, but this is my good luck charm. When I'm back on my feet, I'll come back to thank you properly. After that, I went home, and not long after, my parents came and took me back to City A. My parents remarried, and I changed my surname back to my father's, which is Shu. That's right. When I was little, my surname was Shi, which was my mother's maiden name. Life in the big city was infinitely more vibrant than in the countryside. I had long since put that rescue out of my mind. When I met Shinemo in high school, I never connected him to the child I had saved. It wasn't until after we were married in my previous life, when I accidentally saw Shinmo's childhood diary at his parents' house, that I realized the person I had saved back then was him. I was astonished by such a coincidence. As luck would have it, the very next day was our wedding anniversary. He had made a reservation at a lovely restaurant up at the mountain resort. I planned to tell him during our date, but then, on the way there, we got into a car accident. Shinemo deliberately caused the crash to kill me, all to avenge his assistant, to avenge the person he believes saved his life. I'm genuinely curious why he thinks Lin Shiyun is his savior, when I'm the one who has the protective charm, but I don't want to waste any more time on them. I wasted enough in my past life. In this one, I want to live for myself. 10. School is about to start, and I've moved abroad. Gu Yan helped me find a place, right next to where he lives. He picked me up, helped me get settled, and then treated me to a meal. He's also going to show me around and help me get familiar with the area. I'm sorry to trouble you, I said politely. No trouble at all. It's my pleasure to be of service to you. Shoo, Gu Yan said with a grin. School started, and I began my new life on campus. On the way home from school that day, my best friend shared a piece of gossip with me. Shinemo jilted his bride at the altar. My best friend told me that on the wedding day, Shinemo simply didn't show up. Lin Shiyun was left in tears, and the wedding was called off in the end. It's like Shinemo vanished into thin air. He's not answering calls or WeChat messages. Even his family has no idea where he went. A sudden sense of foreboding came over me. Sure enough, when I reached my doorstep, I saw a man with a scruffy beard. It was Shinemo. He looked haggard, as if he hadn't slept in days. Shinemo saw me too, and he came over and grabbed me by the arm. Shiyun, how did my talisman end up with you? I didn't say a word. Could it be, was it you who saved me? Shinemo pressed urgently for confirmation. I said with a blank expression, that's right, I saved you. If it weren't for me, you'd have almost been burned to death. But, the person who saved me said her name was Shiyun. Shinemo was still confused. Believe it or not, I was just returning what rightfully belongs to its owner. I shook him off and moved to enter. But then, Shinemo blocked my path. You're that Xiyun, aren't you? I tried to get around him, but he completely blocked the way. He continued, I knew it was you. Something felt off the moment I got the amulet back. Lin Shiyun said the scar on her thigh was a burn from saving me, but there was no fire in the room that day, only smoke. How could she have gotten burned? I asked her about the amulet before, and she said she'd lost it. How could I be so stupid, believing her lies? I frowned and said, get out of my way, what does any of that have to do with me? Shinemo said urgently, how can you say it doesn't matter? If I had known you were the one who saved my life, I never would have been with her, and I never would have left you. I let out a scornful laugh. It seems you still don't see the real problem here, putting aside the whole mistaken savior thing. Don't you think it was wrong to string me along while you were involved with someone else? You even got someone else pregnant while you were planning to marry me. What? Did Lin Shiyun force you into this? Shinemo pressed his lips together tightly. Saying nothing, since he wouldn't let me, I decided to leave first, but then he grabbed my hand again, pulling me back into a tight embrace. Shiyun, I was wrong. I mistook you for someone else. Please, give me another chance. As he said this, he leaned in to kiss me. I struggled frantically, but couldn't break free. As he was about to reach my lips, a wave of intense disgust washed over me. A fist suddenly shot out, snapping his head to the side with the impact. I was also pulled away from Shinmo's embrace. Gu Yan yanked me behind him and said furiously, if you harass Shushu again, I won't hesitate to knock your teeth out. Shinemo covered his face, but he wasn't looking at Gu Yan. His gaze was fixed on me. Shuyun, so you're already with him. You chose him, is that it? 11. I haven't chosen anyone, but I want nothing more to do with Shinemo, so I told a lie. Yes, I'm with him. We plan to get married after graduation. Shinmo's eyes dimmed, and he gave a self-deprecating smile. So there's no chance for me. Then, it wasn't a question, but a statement. He turned and left, utterly dejected. Only Gu Yan and I remained. I'm sorry. In the heat of the moment, I used you as an excuse. I'm sorry, Gu Yan said earnestly. I wish it were true. I looked at him and found he was looking back at me with a solemn expression. Is that okay? Gu Yan asked. I fell silent. Ever since my rebirth, I haven't focused on matters of the heart, concentrating solely on my studies and career. I'm not unaware of Gu Yan's feelings for me, but my heart isn't in it right now, and I can't lie to myself. I was carefully choosing my words, just about to speak, when Gu Yan stopped me. Don't say it, I know what you mean. He took a deep breath, then smiled again. I'm sorry, that was forward of me. After that, I continued with my life as an international student. My relationship with Gu Yan didn't seem to change much. Once he understood my stance, our interactions actually became more natural. I heard about Shinemo again from my best friend. Shinemo and Lin Shiyun were in a car accident halfway up the mountain. The vehicle exploded. Lin Shiyun died in the burning wreckage, while Shinemo was lucky enough to escape and was taken to the hospital. Not long after Shinemo disappeared last time, he came back, but he wasn't quite right. He kept muttering on and on about how he'd been deceived. I heard Shinemo and Lin Shiyun never had the wedding, but they got their marriage certificate ages ago. Shinemo wants a divorce, but Lin Shiyun won't agree. Well, this way, Shinemo gets what he wanted in the end. Hey, Shuyun, you don't think he orchestrated this car crash on purpose, do you? As I listened to my best friend's gossip, a flood of old memories rushed into my mind. The location of the crash, the way it happened, it was exactly the same. Of course it was deliberate. I hired someone to track down Lin Shiyun's family and had them file a report with the police. The police examined the wreckage and, sure enough, found evidence of tampering. In the event of a collision, the passenger side seatbelt would lock and become impossible to release. Shinemo has been arrested. He now faces the full, severe force of the law. 12. After finishing my studies abroad, I returned home and joined my father's company. I started from the ground up, worked my way through the ranks, and eventually became my father's right-hand man. A few years passed, and Gu Yan returned from studying abroad to join the Gu family business. He and I still kept in touch. Just like in the old days, we were friends, but over these past few years, we've grown closer than just friends. Neither of us has spoken up to acknowledge what's between us. On my birthday, he invited me over to his place for dinner. I've cooked you a feast, guaranteed to be to your taste. Oh, and I've got a big surprise for you. I joked with him. Don't tell me you're giving me yourself as the gift, he said mysteriously. You'll see when you get here. I went to his place, finished the dinner he had prepared, and then asked, so, where's my gift? He smiled. So impatient, are we? He turned and walked into the bedroom. Then, he placed a document in front of me. Take a look. This is a gift. This is a contract. The property in the South District will be granted to the Shu family for permanent, free use. My eyes widened. Of course we want that property, but the price the Gu family is asking for it certainly won't be low, which is why I didn't even bother to inquire. You're giving this to me as a gift. Isn't it far too valuable? Gu Yan said with a smile. Of course, there's a condition. I couldn't wait and asked, what's the condition? The condition is a marriage alliance between the Shu and Gu families. In other words, you and me. Gu Yan looked at me, his eyes bright. He continued, a new residential district is planned for the South City. Building a shopping mall there is a guaranteed win. I don't think you'll refuse this condition. If you want a career, I can help you build it with you. Is that okay? I smiled too. Of course, no problem. Then I'll be in your care for the rest of my life. The end. Story 2. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, a strange woman came to my door, looking at me with an air of arrogance. So you're Mila Yi? Baffled, I asked with confusion. I am Mila Yi. What can I do for you? She raised an eyebrow, her tone dripping with disdain. I'm Fei Gu, Luca Pei's girlfriend. We're getting married soon. I see. Congratulations then. We've been broken up for a long time. As I finished speaking and was about to close the door, Fei Gu grabbed me abruptly. She got straight to the point. Mila Yi, I know you're pregnant. I stared at her in shock. I had only found out about the pregnancy 3 days ago. How did his ex-girlfriend know? To avoid trouble for myself, I immediately denied. My child is not Luca Pei's. Fei Gu burst into laughter. No matter whose child it is in your belly, as long as you give birth and hand it over to me to raise, I'll give you 5 million. I was stunned. Are you out of your mind? I won't give you this child. And I certainly don't want your filthy money. Get the hell out of here. With that, I shut Fei Gu outside the door. I felt like my dignity had been insulted. Has Luca Pei hooked up with some rich woman or something? No wonder you dumped me so cleanly back then. This rich woman casually throws out 5 million like it's nothing. Talk about deep pockets. What era are we living in? How can there still be people selling children door to door? After cursing Fei Gu, I started cursing Luca Pei. Memories of the time before the breakup started flooding my mind. He clung to me like a sticky plaster, with nothing else to do every day except eat and sleep. But we always used contraception. How could it be such a coincidence? Before I could think further, a wave of nausea churned in my stomach. I dashed into the bathroom and threw up nonstop over the toilet. Actually, on the day I found out I was pregnant, I had already scheduled an abortion, after Luca Pei broke up with me. We completely lost contact. I blocked all his contact information. Since we've broken up, we must make a clean break. I can't let Luca Pei look down on me, nor can I allow him to call me shameless behind my back. I want him to know that I have my pride too. As I thought about it, tears uncontrollably fell. Wiping away my tears haphazardly, I kept reminding myself to be brave, to stay strong, and to forget that scumbag. Just as I was trying to cheer myself up, the hospital called. The doctor said my test results were ready. He also told me that I was born with a thin uterine lining and have polycystic ovary syndrome. If I insisted on having an abortion, it might be very difficult for me to get pregnant again in the future. After hanging up the phone, I froze. Checking my bank balance, I dialed the general manager's number. Manager, I'll cover the news about the heir of the Pei Group. The general manager's hearty laughter came through the phone. Oh my god, Mila Yi. Are you serious? Our company has sent so many people over there with no success, and I was about to give up. But now, you've had a change of heart. You're the backbone of our company, with you on the case. It's a sure win. I believe in you. I immediately seized the moment to make my demand. I'm serious, but I want double the salary. Gossip about wealthy families has always been the public's favorite spice, and the heir of the Pei Group is particularly mysterious. There isn't even a single photo of him available online. A few days ago, when the news of the marriage alliance between the Pei and Gu families broke out, all media outlets were scrambling to get first-hand information. If they could secure the rights to broadcast the wedding live, the traffic boost would be guaranteed. 2 months ago, rumors had already surfaced that the heir of the Pei Group was severely injured in a car accident and lost his fertility, though no one knew if the news was true or not. At this moment, the image of the deranged woman who came to my door asking for her child suddenly flashed through my mind. What did she say her name was? Oh right, Fei Gu. How ridiculous. She even offered me 5 million. Wait, what a coincidence. Her last name is Gu. As a seasoned entertainment reporter, my keen instincts told me there must be a big story here. I first looked up the personal information of this Fei Gu. When Fei Gu's photo appeared before my eyes, I couldn't help but gasp in shock. She claimed to be Luca Pei's fiancée. Doesn't that mean Luca Pei is the heir to the Pei Group I was supposed to interview? Damn it, couldn't help but curse out loud. Recalling all the past events, there's simply no way to connect Luca Pei's loser image with that of a Beijing elite's golden boy. It's not that he isn't handsome enough, but he's just too much of a slob in daily life, wearing grandpa shirts in summer, padded jackets in winter, and loving Shaxian mixed noodles for meals. Not a single trace of that privileged Beijing princeling aura. Thinking about the baby in my belly and the upcoming interview, my head is spinning. If it's really him, can I calmly report the news of his marriage to another woman? Can I really broadcast his wedding live from start to finish, attend his father and stepmother's wedding ceremony with the child? No, not even a stepmother. This child will be labeled as illegitimate from birth. But it seems the trouble doesn't end there. Fei Gu has already set her sights on the child in my womb. I've never been one to like being passive, so I orchestrated a perfect drama. Fei Gu found me at the entrance of a shady clinic, my face haggard and pale as paper. She stared into my eyes and asked furiously, Mila Yi, are you crazy? Did you really get rid of the baby? I sneered. What else? Would you give up your fiancé for me? She gave me a mocking glance, wishful thinking. I wasn't angry either and calmly said, I really don't know what you see in him, aside from being a bit handsome. He's practically useless, we're both women. And I'm kindly warning you, don't be fooled by his harmless appearance, otherwise, you might end up like me, cheated out of money and affection, then dumped. How could I have given birth to a scumbag's child? Fei Gu eyed me suspiciously. You really don't know his true identity. No wonder. Otherwise how could you possibly have gotten rid of this child? What an idiot. With that, she strode arrogantly into that shady clinic. Not long after, I received a call from the doctor inside. Miss Yi. Everything has been said exactly as you instructed. She didn't suspect a thing. All right. After hanging up, I sent the doctor inside a generous red envelope and assured him that I wouldn't expose those physicians who came to him for extra income. At the same time, a message arrived on the phone. Sis Mila, Fei Gu has withdrawn all the people who were watching you. Good work. But, it seems there are 2 groups watching you. You'd better be careful recently. 2 groups. Can't figure out who else I might have offended. After all these years as a journalist, whether it's tailing or covert photography, no one is more skilled than me. The most glaring oversight was undoubtedly the fact that my ex-boyfriend turned out to be the crown prince of Beijing's elite circle. For the past 4 years, that guy ate my food, drank my drinks, and used my things. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. So he was afraid I'd cling to him if I found out his true identity. Huh. Alright Luca Pei, just you wait. Early the next morning, I deliberately put on a slightly haggard-looking makeup and arrived at the Pei Corporation building. I walked up to the front desk calmly. Hello, I'd like to see young Master Pei. The pretty young girl at the desk asked in a formal tone. Do you have an appointment, please? I immediately handed over my business card. It was a verbal appointment. I wonder if young Master Pei still remembers. But I'd still appreciate it if you could call him. My name is Mila Yi, a reporter from Apple Weekly. The young girl looked me up and down before politely saying, one moment, please. When a beautiful woman shows up unannounced, claiming to have a verbal appointment with the crown prince of Beijing's elite circle, 80% of people would choose to inquire and report it. After all, a whisper in the ear is no laughing matter. Upon receiving the reply, the young girl was momentarily surprised. Young Master Pei has invited you to his office, but you should be careful when you enter. Miss Gu, young Master Pei's fiancé, is also there. Is that so? I forced a smile and said, even better, I know both of them. The crisp sound of 10-centimeter high heels clicking on the floor made every step feel like torture. Jealousy, resentment, grievance, and loneliness surged through me all at once, leaving me utterly miserable. His seamless transition made all those sweet moments we once shared together feel instantly and bitterly ironic. I hastily wiped the tears from my face, checking to make sure my makeup wasn't smudged. Finally, before the elevator doors opened, I plastered on my usual fake smile. In my eyes now, the 2 of them were no longer people, they were walking stacks of cash. When the secretary pushed the door open, I saw Luca Pei sitting at his desk with a serious expression, dressed in a sharp suit. He exuded the aura of a polished urban professional. Fei Gu leaned against his desk, gazing at him with tender affection, her long legs glowing with a fair radiance. When she saw me, she was momentarily surprised, then said with displeasure, what are you doing here? I simply smiled without answering, but Luca Pei asked, do you 2 know each other? Fei Gu felt a pang of guilt, her brows furrowing with irritation. Not really. She replied. I got straight to the point and stated my intention. We at Apple Weekly truly admire Mr. Pei's charisma and would like to interview you. Would we have the honor? Luca Pei gazed into my eyes. If it's you, Miss Yi, who will be in charge throughout, then I see no reason to refuse. Things went much smoother than expected. After finalizing the interview time, Luca Pei and I exchanged contact information again. Everything was successfully completed right under Fei Gu's watchful eyes. She was so angry she gnashed her teeth, yet there was nothing she could do. After all, her current persona was that of an innocent little white rabbit. As I was leaving, Fei Gu followed me and sneered, "Couldn't wait to get back to work right after your abortion surgery. Mila Yi, you really are something, no matter how capable you are. The Pei family would never allow a woman of your status to marry into their household. The only one who can be Luca Pei's wife is me, understand?" I smiled and dug at my ear. "Miss Gu, please calm down. I have no interest in married men. It's all just work-related." Fei Gu crossed her arms and looked at me. "Fine, then we'll invite you to livestream our entire wedding." Suppressing the displeasure in my heart, I smiled brightly. It would be an honor. After pulling off this job, not only would I get double the pay, but I could also apply for a transfer. Isn't building a career better than chasing after men? Besides, I touched my belly, finally managed to send off the gatekeeper Fei Gu, only to run into Luca Pei in the parking lot. He deliberately blocked my car, smirking at me with a roguish grin. 2 months without a word. "Mila Yi, you're heartless," I pouted. "Once we break up, we're strangers." "What do you mean by that, President Pei?" He lowered his gaze to look at me. "Exactly what I said." I immediately pulled out the voice recorder from my pocket and waved it in front of his face. "Keep talking. And there's no stopping this. Don't forget, you're engaged now. So what? As long as I'm not married yet, I have the right to choose." I couldn't help but blurt out, "Scumbag." He curved the corners of his lips, revealing 2 charming dimples. "Miss Yi, isn't it a bit inappropriate to swear like this? I'm cursing my ex-boyfriend. Shouldn't that be fine?" He chuckled lightly, sharp-tongued. I glanced down at the time, then looked at Luca Pei impatiently. "How much longer are you going to block my car? Don't tell me you're still hung up on me." He stood up, releasing the large hand that had been pressing on my car hood, and said coldly, "You're overthinking it." I curled the corner of my lips and immediately stepped on the accelerator, roaring past him, watching Luca Pei eat a face full of exhaust fumes in the rearview mirror. I laughed heartily. "Serves you right." Just after laughing, I suddenly felt like crying, an unexpected surge of bitterness welling up in my heart. What's wrong with me? Am I sick? It's like I'm going crazy. No wonder some say love is a sickness. Just as I was thinking, the general manager called. "Mila Yi, you're absolutely amazing. You've done another great service for the company. Don't worry, I'll not only double your salary but also give you a bonus." Hearing about the raise and the bonus, my mood improved slightly. "Who's got such a big mouth? I just closed the deal, and you already know about it." Mr. Pei just called personally, saying he's entrusting us with full coverage of his wedding. "Mila, drop everything you're working on. This assignment is entirely in your hands. Ask for whatever resources you need." Judging by the CEO's excited tone, I could tell Luca Pei must have promised him some benefits again. For a moment, I couldn't figure out, what exactly is Luca Pei trying to achieve? Just then, an unknown number called. After 2 seconds of silence, I pressed the answer button. Luca Pei's usual lazy voice came through. "Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, at Yunsheng Luxury, I'll be accompanying my fiancé to try on wedding dresses." My heart clearly sank, but I replied with calm composure, "Understood, Mr. Pei, I'll be there on time." Luca Pei chuckled twice, his tone neither warm nor cold. Reporter Yi is truly dedicated to her job, of course. With that, I hung up the phone. Not giving him another chance to mock me, he wanted to see me heartbroken and clinging to him. "Sorry, maybe in the next life." As agreed, I arrived at the bridal shop Luca Pei had specified. Gazing at the luxurious wedding dresses in the display window, I couldn't help but fall into memories. I once thought he was just a poor loser, too timid to even glance this way whenever he passed by. Yet he keenly picked up on my little thoughts. With laughter in his eyes, he said to me affectionately, "When we get married, I'll make sure you wear the most beautiful wedding dress from this shop." Now, he truly has the means to let me wear the finest wedding dress here. Only the bride wasn't me. Everything around me seemed so ironic, but reality doesn't give you time to wallow in sorrow. I still strode confidently into this luxurious bridal shop. After stating my purpose, someone led me to the VIP room. Upon entering, only Luca Pei was inside. He glanced back at me and said calmly, "You're here. I'm not late, am I, Mr. Pei?" I looked around, somewhat puzzled. "Has Miss Gu not arrived yet?" Luca Pei smiled without speaking. A staff member nearby placed a tablet in my hand. "Miss Yi, these are all our haute couture pieces, each one a unique private custom design that you'll never see duplicated elsewhere." "I think you've mistaken me. Before I could finish speaking, Luca Pei interrupted from the side. I want to surprise my fiancé. You don't mind helping me brainstorm, do you? His tone was firm, leaving no room for refusal. I only felt a dull ache in my heart, but I managed to put on a faint smile. Of course, the lights in the venue suddenly dimmed, and I sat beside Luca Pei, watching the models strutting down the runway not far away. Every wedding dress was so luxurious and dazzling. When the lights came on again, all the models stood together in a row. Luca Pei looked into my eyes and asked, "Which one do you think is the most beautiful?" "The second one," after a pause. I added, "Of course, that's just my personal opinion." He suddenly moved closer, still carrying the familiar scent of lily of the valley. For a moment, I felt dazed. A bewitching voice whispered in my ear, "Would you be willing to marry me in that wedding dress?" After a brief hesitation, I pushed him away and firmly declared, "No." I stood up, steadying my emotions with effort, and was just about to find an excuse to leave when I heard a commotion outside. The next moment, I saw an enraged Fei Gu. The way she looked at me was as if she wanted to tear me apart, but when she turned to Luca Pei, her expression became sweet and coquettish. She sat down beside Luca Pei in a flirtatious manner and said, "Brother Luca, how could you come alone to pick a wedding dress without calling me?" Luca Pei avoided the question and asked instead, "What do you think of the second one?" Fei Gu glanced at it and frowned slightly. "It's too plain. I think the first one suits me better. The skirt has pearls and crystals. After all, I am a little princess." Then, she suddenly changed her tone and gazed affectionately at Luca Pei. "Actually, it doesn't matter which wedding dress I wear. The most important thing is marrying the person I love. I'll wear whichever one you like." Her coy demeanor made me nauseous, and I couldn't help but gag on the spot. Fei Gu looked furious and snapped at me, "Mila Yi, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you?" I was about to deny it, but I couldn't suppress the nausea in my stomach. Before I could say a word, I turned and rushed into the bathroom, vomiting for quite a while before finally recovering. I thought the matter would end there. But Fei Gu cornered me in the bathroom, her eyes fixed on my stomach as she demanded, "Did you even get rid of that little bastard in your belly?" I immediately pushed her away. "Miss Gu, what kind of madness are you up to again? Does Luca Pei know about such thoughts of yours?" Hearing me mention Luca Pei's name, Fei Gu instantly became wary, putting on a show of asserting her dominance. "None of your business. Who do you think you are? Do you still think you can take him away now?" Indeed, Luca Pei is no longer just a man, he's now the crown prince of the capital's elite circle with a fortune in the billions. Who wouldn't want to keep a tight grip on such a prize? "Miss Gu, you're overthinking it. I just want to do my job well." With that, I walked away from her. After finishing today's work, I wasn't in a good mood. As I was leaving, a staff member caught up to me and handed me a dessert, saying it was specially given to me by the shop. I took it and casually placed it in the car, but was drawn in by a strawberry scent, so I unwrapped it to take a look. To my surprise, it was my favorite strawberry cheesecake. My gloomy mood instantly lifted quite a bit. I couldn't resist and pulled the car over to the roadside, devouring the food eagerly. Little did I expect to witness Luca Pei kicking Fei Gu out of the car face to face. I lowered my head and continued eating the cake in my hand, pretending not to see anything, only to receive a resentful glare from Fei Gu. What bad luck. Who did I offend to deserve this? As I was thinking, a tall shadow loomed over me. Luca Pei leaned against my car window with one arm, taking out a cigarette only to put it back, and under my puzzled gaze, he said, enjoying the show of people arguing. I rolled my eyes immediately, didn't see anyone arguing. Wasn't it just Mr. Pei's one-sided performance all along? Luca Pei grinned, revealing a row of white teeth. Mila Yi, those women are all so dull. I much prefer being with you. How about we make up? I dug at my ear and beckoned him with a finger. Can you come closer and say that again? His strikingly handsome face immediately leaned in close to mine, whispering provocatively in my ear. I said, let's make up. Are you too happy to react? Still processing it, I smiled faintly, gazing at him with a love-struck expression. The next second, the half-eaten cake in my hand was smeared all over his face. I'm warning you, Luca Pei. If you dare spout such useless nonsense at me again, don't blame me for being rude. With that, I stepped on the gas and sped away. I don't care if you're the crown prince of Beijing's elite circle or a billionaire. No matter how impressive you are, you're still just a man I've slept with, breaking up when you want, making up when you please. Do I not have any dignity to consider? Damn it, couldn't hold back and cursed. Do you find it amusing to mess with me, Luca Pei, you big liar? Without realizing it, I had driven the car to the apartment building where I used to live. As if guided by some unseen force, I walked into the Shaxian snack shop that Luca Pei and I used to love the most. The owner was, as always, engrossed in a soap opera. When she saw me, she greeted me warmly. "Oh my, it's been so long, where have you been?" I smiled and said, "Moved away." "Yes," she hesitated, then asked instead. "Still the same as before?" I nodded. "Soon." The steaming mixed noodles were delivered to my hands. The landlady also sat down beside me. "May I ask something I shouldn't? Have you and that young man broken up?" No wonder he kept staring at his phone while eating the mixed noodles that day. Turns out he was looking at photos to reminisce. How pitiful. He must have really liked you. My chopsticks paused in my hand. "What do you mean, otherwise? After breaking up, who would use their ex-girlfriend's photo as their phone wallpaper?" I took a deep breath. "You guessed wrong. He was the one who initiated the breakup." "What?" The landlady looked shocked. "Young people these days, we just can't understand them anymore." Then she turned to gossip with me about the TV drama we were watching. "It's right to break up if you can't protect her. What's the point of being rich? Marriage should still be between equals." Something suddenly struck me in the heart. And certain things were suddenly let go. Yeah, if it's not working out, it's better to part ways sooner rather than later. Since you've already made your choice, what's the point of flirting with me again today? To avoid any contact with Luca Pay, I handed over the preliminary interview work to a colleague. I focused on organizing the drafts at the company instead. At first, Luca Pay called to express his dissatisfaction, but after hearing that I wasn't feeling well, he dropped the matter. He even showed good temper by not pressing further and instead cooperated well with his colleagues. I secretly wondered, has this guy had a change of heart? Just as I was thinking this, a colleague who had returned from an interview handed the materials to me and couldn't stop praising Luca Pay. Listening to those adjectives, I couldn't help but ask, "Are you sure you're describing Luca Pay?" "Of course, besides him, I've yet to meet a man more gentlemanly, handsome, and intelligent. Though it's a shame, he's already about to get married." Watching my colleague's regretful expression, I stayed silent. Such an outstanding man has to marry a woman he doesn't love. How pitiful. "Did he tell you that? Isn't it obvious? Anyone with eyes can see it. The look in someone's eyes when they're in love can't be hidden." Alright, enough gossip. Get back to work. Whether Luca Pay likes it or not is his own business. My task is to do my job well and then leave, touching my slightly bulging belly. I've already prepared myself to be a single mother. Just then, someone pushed open the door to my office. The person was dressed in tattered clothes, with disheveled hair, looking extremely aged. Just as I was about to speak to shoo them away, the person said, "Mila, don't you recognize me? I'm your mother." At that moment, I saw the person's face clearly. In my memory, my mother still looked as she did in her youth. That year, my father had an accident at the construction site, and she took the compensation but refused to pay for his treatment. With no money at home and the compensation taken by her, my father just died in the hospital corridor. She left without leaving me a single cent. I heard she married a nouveau riche. I was 13 years old that year. When someone who has been missing for most of their life suddenly appears before you, there's only one possibility: they're definitely here to harm you. "Mila, I'm sorry." Mom will kneel and apologize to you right now. Before I could even react, young Lihua suddenly knelt in front of me, wailing loudly. The office door was left open, with many colleagues gathered around to watch the commotion. When I didn't respond, young Lihua's sobs grew louder. "Mila, tell me. What must I do as your mother for you to forgive me?" "Whatever you ask, I'll make sure to do it." She tried to grab my hand, but I dodged her touch. If she had managed to touch me, I would have been utterly disgusted. I spoke coldly. "Really, anything at all?" Young Lihua nodded, her expression sincere. "As long as it's within my power." I pointed at the office window and said, "Jump from there, and I'll forgive you." Whispers of protest for young Lihua had already begun to rise from the crowd. Making her own mother jump off a building, how could she even think of that? After all the years of raising her, how deep must the hatred be? I never expected her to be this kind of person. I refused to work with someone like her. I silently listened to the surrounding gossip. While young Lihua seemed encouraged and continued to play the victim, she portrayed the pitiable, helpless mother role to perfection. "Alright." As she spoke, she lifted her sleeve to wipe away 2 streams of tears. "After Mom is gone, you must take good care of yourself." With these words, she dashed toward the window, but as she passed me, she deliberately bumped into me, causing my stomach to slam painfully against the corner of the desk. The pain immediately sent cold sweat pouring down my face. Blood. Upon hearing the scream, I lowered my gaze to look beneath me. Bright red blood was actually streaming down my thighs. A colleague had already come to support me and called an ambulance. I shot young Lihua a resentful glance, too pained to speak. "I don't know why Luca Pei appeared here. All I know is that the moment he rushed into the crowd and picked me up, everything around seemed to freeze, and my eyes were only on him. It's okay. It's okay. I'll take you to the hospital right away. His voice trembled slightly, his eyes filled with panic. I leaned against his chest, unable to hold back my tears. Luca Pay. Is my baby going to be gone? Nonsense. I'll find the best doctors. Don't be afraid, Mila. Both of you will be fine. His cool kiss landed on my forehead, and I nodded at him. After that, I don't remember anything. Who would have thought that when I woke up again, I had become a celebrity? It used to be me reporting on others, but now the protagonist of the story has become myself. One sensational headline after another flooded the trending topics. Hashtag famous female journalist pregnant out of wedlock, mother jumps to death, mysterious lover suspected to be a married man. Hashtag female journalist shamelessly seduces married man, biological mother jumps to death in anger. Hashtag female journalist pregnant out of wedlock, dissatisfied with mother scolding, forces mother to jump to death. Hashtag, and so on, too numerous to mention. I hadn't finished reading yet when Luca Pay snatched my phone away. He placed a handful of washed cherries in my hand. Eat more of these. And stop looking at those boring things. It's not good for my son's prenatal education. Seeing my resentful gaze, he quickly corrected himself, and hindering my daughter's physical and mental development would be even worse. I picked out a particularly firm, dark cherry and popped it into my mouth. Luca Pay, could you stop being so full of yourself? When did I ever say the child was yours? Luca Pay leaned close to my ear with utter confidence and said, have you forgotten? That was the seed I tirelessly sowed day and night through hard work. If it's not mine, then whose is it? I rolled my eyes at him and said nothing. Things had deviated too far from expectations, spiraling out of control and veering completely off course. Just as I was about to eat a cherry, Luca Pay suddenly snatched the fruit plate from my hands and threw it to the ground, shouting at me sharply, how many times do I have to say it before you'll sign and get rid of this child? 10 million, 50 million, or 100 million, name your price. Our Pay family would never accept a woman of your background. I have a fiancé. There's no way I could keep this child. Seeing the shadow at the door, I instantly understood and said coldly, do you think I'd ever want to bear a child for someone like you? Even if you don't give me money, I won't have this child. Wasn't it just because you were afraid of a life being lost and me pestering you that you sent me to the hospital that day? Let me tell you, Luca Pay, I'd rather have a child with a homeless man on the street than with you. As I spoke, I pressed the call button by the bed. The nurse quickly entered the room. What seems to be the problem? Patient, please arrange for the doctor to perform surgery on me immediately. I want an abortion. Miss Shi, your baby is perfectly healthy. Are you sure about this? I nodded firmly, absolutely certain. As they were speaking, two people barged in through the door. The man, with an air of authority, immediately pulled Luca Pay out as soon as he entered. The woman, gentle and dignified, bent down to pick up the scattered cherries on the floor and sat by my bedside. She introduced herself. Hello, Miss Shi, I am Luca Pay's mother. I nodded and immediately said, Auntie, don't worry, I absolutely won't cling to your son. I understand the principle of matching social status, and I don't want to marry into a wealthy family overnight only to be looked down upon. Although I don't have much money, I can still support myself, and I certainly don't need any so-called nutritional compensation from you. Please take Luca Pay with you. I'll handle the child in my belly, and if you're still concerned, you can come and witness the entire procedure on the day of the surgery. After I blurted all this out, Luca Pay's mother grabbed my hands in agitation and quickly explained, Miss Shi, you've misunderstood. I'm not here to persuade you to abort the child. I looked at her with confusion. Luca Pay and I broke up long ago, and besides, he already has a fiancé. You saw his attitude just now. So this child, before I could finish, she interrupted, you don't need to worry about these things, just focus on taking care of the pregnancy. Luca is indeed a filial child. The marriage alliance with the Gu family was arranged by his father and me. He didn't want to upset us, so he agreed to it. Since you are carrying the Pay family's flesh and blood, you are rightfully our Pay family's daughter-in-law. We will follow all the proper wedding customs, matchmakers, betrothal gifts, and a formal ceremony. Nothing will be lacking, and you will not be treated unfairly. Of course, our family doesn't have many rules. After marriage, you'll be as free as you are now. Do whatever you want. And we'll make sure you have plenty of pocket money. I can see you still have feelings for our Luca. After all, you've been together for so many years. I stayed silent for a few seconds, biting my lip with a hint of melancholy in my expression. Auntie, let's just forget it. Even if I were willing, Luca Pay wouldn't be. Forced relationships don't work. and if the parents aren't happy, the child won't be either. Seeing my resolute attitude, Luca Pei's mother stood up and walked out of the hospital room. A few minutes later, Luca Pei pushed the door open and came in, smiling as he apologized. "I'm sorry, Mila, I was rude earlier, and I apologize. I think we need to have a proper talk." I glanced at his parents standing behind him and didn't respond. Mrs. Pei looked at me gently and said, "Mila, I keep my word. Don't worry. If this boy dares to bully you, just tell me, and I'll deal with him." With that, Mother Pei took Father Pei by the hand and left the hospital room together. Luca Pei walked to the door, making sure everyone had gone far enough before finally letting out a sigh of relief. He strode to the bedside, pinched my chin, and kissed my lips fiercely. I was nearly breathless from his kiss and pushed him away abruptly. "Luca Pei, are you out of your mind? Don't you know I'm pregnant?" He grabbed my hand and chuckled. "After planning for so long, it's finally come to a perfect conclusion." Of course I'm excited. "Still, your acting wasn't bad either. This double act was quite a success." I smiled and said, "Won't your heart ache for deceiving your parents like this?" He placed his hand over his heart, looking utterly despondent. "If I can't marry you, my heart will ache even more." I was instantly amused by his comical expression and burst into laughter. Turns out, he had planned this entire drama from the moment we broke up. The car accident, the claim of future infertility, it was all a well-orchestrated act he directed himself. The purpose was to make his parents voluntarily annul the engagement and agree to let me in. If it weren't for this sudden accident, I would have learned these truths much later. I leaned my face against Luca Pei's chest, feeling his familiar body warmth, and suddenly realized how shallow my love for him had been, feeling somewhat guilty. I apologized to him. "I'm sorry, Luca Pei." He gently tousled my hair and spoke with a hint of reproach. "How can you be so heartless, woman? You blocked me right after the breakup, planning to cut all ties forever. Is that it?" I nodded. "Of course, otherwise, where's my dignity?" Hearing this, he playfully nipped my lips in frustration. "You heartless little brat, I call it having backbone." Who told him not to give a heads up in advance? Being dumped out of the blue and then having someone cling to me desperately, I could never do something like that. Right now, I'm completely enveloped in overwhelming happiness. The strong smell of disinfectant in the hospital room made me feel a bit nauseous. Looking at the unfamiliar surroundings around me, I couldn't help but feel a wave of fear. I grabbed Luca Pei's arm and asked, "If the child in my belly were really gone after this accident, would you marry Fei Gu?" "No." Luca Pei answered with great determination. He looked at me very seriously. "I did all this so you wouldn't be bullied when you marry into my family. After all, I can't be by your side every moment." Of course, I understood what he meant. Since ancient times, women who marry above their station have always been considered inferior, living at the mercy of their in-laws' moods. He was trying every possible way to keep me safe. "Luca Pei, you're so kind. Took you long enough to realize." As he spoke, he took out his phone and handed it to me. "How should we handle this matter? I'd like to hear your thoughts." Watching the video playing before my eyes, I felt like killing Yang Lihua. She was far more vicious and despicable than I had ever imagined. Fei Gu found Yang Lihua and asked with schadenfreude, "Are you really Mila Ye's mother?" Yang Lihua nodded. "Do you know my daughter?" "Of course." Fei Gu looked Yang Lihua up and down. "How come your daughter's living the high life while you, her mother, are in such a sorry state? Is she doing that well now?" A famous big shot reporter, Yang Lihua snorted coldly. "Ungrateful brat. Now that she's made it big, she doesn't even think to show some filial piety to me. I knew she was heartless since she was little." Fei Gu smirked smugly. "There's a perfect opportunity to get back at her right now. Want to give it a try?" Yang Lihua wore a calculating expression. "Why would I want to retaliate against my own daughter? 500,000, ruin her reputation and find out if she's carrying a child. Of course, it's fine if you don't agree. I can always find someone else, though the results might not be as good. 1 million. And I can do one more thing for you." The video abruptly ended there. I laughed, laughing so hard that my whole body shook. How could I have been born from the womb of such a vicious woman? 1 million. She not only sold my reputation but also tried to kill my child. So cruel. How could there be a mother like her in this world? She doesn't deserve it. Without almost any hesitation, I turned to Luca Pei and said, "Let's expose it. While the heat of the videos criticizing me hasn't died down yet, let's add fuel to the fire. As for Fei Gu's part, handle it." Luca Pei looked at me with some heartache, gently kissed my cheek, and said, "Okay." Originally, the unilateral breaking off of the engagement was already an act of guilt towards the Gu family. Excluding Fei Gu could be seen as repaying them a favor, ensuring neither family loses too much face. As for Yang Lihua, I sneered coldly. didn't she publicly accuse me of neglecting her? Then I'll grant her wish, I'll take care of her until her dying day. After 2 days of escalation, public opinion has reached its peak. Yang Lihua, as a negative example of motherhood, has become a public enemy that everyone condemns. On the day I was discharged from the hospital, she was already waiting at the entrance early, surrounded by a large group of reporters. As soon as I stepped out, she immediately rushed toward me, only to be stopped by Luca Pei. He shielded me in his arms, his face icy as he pushed Yang Lihua aside. "Stay away from my wife." Reporters immediately swarmed over like a hive. "Excuse me, are you the biological father of Monsieur's child? Is it true that you are the sole heir of the Pei group? Weren't the Pei and Gu families supposed to unite through marriage? Can the family really tolerate Yi using pregnancy to climb the social ladder?" Luca Pei frowned as a gasp rippled through the crowd. "Mrs. Pei is here." After stepping out of the car, Mrs. Pei walked straight through the crowd to me, took my hand, and said, "My daughter-in-law needs to go home and rest. You'd better step aside. If anyone frightens the baby in her belly, they'll have me to answer to." As soon as she finished speaking, the bustling crowd suddenly fell silent and instinctively moved away from us. After a long pause, someone finally asked, "Mrs. Pei, does this mean you acknowledge Monsieur's status? What about the Gu family's daughter?" Mother Pei glanced at the reporter and responded without hesitation. "Originally, we elders had intended to bring the two young ones together, but you can't force a melon to be sweet. Whoever my son likes, I like. If I hear any more gossip that upsets my daughter-in-law, no matter who it is, I'll make sure they regret it." I gave Mother Pei a grateful look. Her actions had given me all the dignity I could ask for. Just as we were all getting into the car, Yang Lihua pushed her way forward again, beaming at Mother Pei and saying, "Mother-in-law, I'm Mila Ye's mother." I looked at Mrs. Pei with unwavering eyes and said, "That's right. She is my mother." Seeing my admission, Yang Lihua immediately became as excited as if she had been injected with adrenaline. Perhaps her mind was already painting dreams of becoming wealthy in the future. Then, I shifted my tone. "Actually, sometimes you can't blame her. After all, she's been through so much over the years, and her mind hasn't been entirely clear. That's why she was taken advantage of by those with ulterior motives and ended up doing some foolish things. Yes, I'm getting old. My mind isn't what it used to be." I immediately raised an eyebrow and glanced at Yang Lihua. She quickly added, "It's not just my mind, even the doctor says I'm sick and need to be hospitalized for treatment." I nodded and, under everyone's bewildered gazes, pulled Yang Lihua into the car. She was immediately moved to tears, saying she had been foolish all these years, that she was sorry, and praising me as a good daughter. I couldn't help but find it amusing. Little did she know, her hardships had only just begun. At that moment, Yang Lihua was the only one in the car, chattering incessantly about my past. "Mila, do you still remember, when you were little, you said you would take good care of Mom and support her in her old age until the end. Now Mom is back and will never leave you again." I looked at her and spoke indifferently. I remember, the corners of her mouth nearly reached her temples. "Don't worry. I will definitely take care of you in your old age and see you off to the end." After receiving my assurance, Yang Lihua quieted down, her eyes brimming with unspoken joy. The car came to a stop in front of the luxurious estate villa of Luca Pei's family. Yang Lihua gazed with envy. "Is this a castle? It's so beautiful." After saying goodbye to Pei's mother, I curved my lips into a smile. "What's this? The house you'll live in later will be even bigger than this." As the car started moving again, Yang Lihua asked, "Are we going there now?" "Later. When the child is born, Mom will help you take care of it. A nanny is still an outsider after all. Can't really trust them." After speaking, she secretly glanced at Luca Pei. "Mila, you really know how to pick men." I lifted my head and gave Luca Pei a light kiss on the cheek. Nestling in his arms without saying a word, Yang Lihua was thrown out of the car after being injected with a sedative. I glanced out the car window. This would be her final resting place from now on. There's no place more fitting for her than a mental institution. Luca Pei held my cold hands and said with heartfelt concern, "Don't worry, from now on you'll have me. And our child too, you won't be alone." I nodded gently and smiled. "Not just that, I have parents again too." We looked at each other and smiled. After sending Yang Lihua to the psychiatric hospital, a heavy weight was finally lifted from my heart. Life gradually returned to calm, and I peacefully recuperated at the Pei residence, awaiting the arrival of my child. Luca Pei officially terminated his engagement with the Gu family and publicly announced our relationship as well as the existence of our unborn child. Initially, there were some doubts and gossip, but as the Pei family's firm stance and Luca Pei's devoted care for me became more widely known, the negative voices gradually faded away. Later, I successfully gave birth to a healthy baby boy, bringing immense joy to the entire Pei household. Luca Pei was overjoyed. Behaving like an excited child himself, staying by my side and the baby's every moment, never leaving us, I made a promise with Luca Pei to give our child the purest love and to let him grow up in an environment filled with love, and we will also accompany each other through the long years, ensuring that this hard-won love continues to flourish, lasting forever.